when you think of someone who runs into problems, big problems on LinkedIn, you think of someone who doesn't have that much marketing experience, but you are a highly experienced, highly seasoned marketer, and you ended up falling into a trap basically. So can you share, first of all, your experience with, with marketing in general? Like, what is your background? What do you do specifically in marketing?
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting story, especially because, like you mentioned, I've got a lot of experience. I started in this online marketing thing, e-commerce space in 2009, so that's been 16 years. I've I haven't done anything but online marketing since then. I've been experiencing the Wild West days of SEO. I've seen Google Ads become like this big powerhouse when I first used it, when it first launched. I've been on the LinkedIn, I don't even know how long. Like it feels like an eternity. So I've seen a lot of yeah, stuff within the online marketing space, within social media, and so forth. And yeah, it's like you said, if it can happen to be like if it can happen to a seasoned pro, it
Yeah.
can probably happen to a lot of people, like that you um, yeah, kind of misunderstand what's happening. You think, okay, this is the algorithm working and stuff like that, and then yeah, you get a totally different perspective on what's actually happening. So
Yes.
for me, it's also been like um, uh, waking up from a fantasy dream. Like you think
Oh.
you see you see all these major influencers with thousands and thousands of followers, and then you suddenly understand how some of these things work, how they get so many comments on
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so it's kind of yeah, I don't know if that's the right idiom, but is it lifting the kimono or something like that, where you finally uh, see what's behind the curtain? And so,
Yes.
yeah, that's been happening to me, and yeah, it's there's no shame in that. It can happen to anyone, and LinkedIn is a totally different beast from everything yeah,
Yes.
else.
Definitely. And so because of all your marketing experience, what prompted you to hire a like a LinkedIn marketing agency to run your LinkedIn for you?
Um, the same reason why I would like to be hired, because there are experts for things, and LinkedIn is the same. I'm not a LinkedIn expert, and I saw when I started my own company in 2020 how effectively LinkedIn can be. I kind of slept on it and let it cool off for, I don't know, 4.5 years or something like that, 4 years. But I quickly realized when I wanted to, uh, like, when I want to build a sustainable lead funnel for my business, that LinkedIn is basically, you cannot go without LinkedIn. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start posting a little bit, posted a few posts, and then quickly realized how bad I am at social media marketing, because my original roots are in uh, like coming up with marketing strategies,
Yeah.
advising my clients on how to build proper funnels, how to optimize their e-commerce stores, and stuff like that. So um, I realized, okay, I'm bad at LinkedIn. I posted this one photo and posted a short story about how I sold 4 e-commerce stores. I made $300,000 with them, and then the reception was actually okay. I had like 40 likes or something like that on
That's
it.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for when my account was pretty much in hibernation since my last post 4 years ago or something like
Yeah.
that. So I thought, okay, this is going to be easy. And then I uh, released the next post. It bombed terribly. I think I had 2 likes on it, and not even my wife saw the post. So
Oh,
I thought, okay, it's better to get some outside help. I
gotcha.
talked to a few agencies. One was gave me the offer to just come up with a strategy for 14,000 euros, which, yeah, it was quite a lot, and I was actually considering it because I thought, okay, if they charge that much, they must be really good, and I know they are really good. They were uh, I was referred to them, but then I thought, okay, let's look around a little bit. What else is out
Yeah,
there? So that's how I found the other agency, and I've thought I want to shorten the learning curve on what I'm
right.
doing, and I definitely did because I learned a few things from them, and but that was my original intention. I want to produce uh, content without the major headache of always pushing content. I didn't even
Right.
know what's a good rhythm. Is it once a week? Is it every day? What's a good rhythm? And I was hoping for some guidance from them, and
Yeah.
that also didn't happen because they were more like a factory floor for
Right.
LinkedIn posts, and so that's what I originally wanted to achieve.
Gotcha. And really, one point that's helpful to share here is that no marketing person is an expert in every single thing. Actually, I know one, but she literally has 174 IQ. I'm not joking. She's smarter than most geniuses. So, but that's like literally the only person. Everyone else, us normal people, we have to
Yeah,
kind of have our niche. So I totally understand that. And before I get to the next question, I do want to let you know that one of the commenters we have, Mark Kilby, says, regarding the expression, he was said, yes, was thinking pulling back the curtain. Let's see if I can click on this and it
yeah.
shows. Just a second. Yeah, was thinking about pulling back the curtain and then quickly closing it. So that's what he was sharing there. So I do like to honor everyone who does comment here. So, okay, so what did the agent, so, you found an agency. What did they say specifically to you that compelled you to say, okay, they're the ones?
I think uh, that there are 2 layers to that. The first is what I learned about them online through their website, through testimonials and stuff, and they had a lot of very solid testimonials. Like apparently, they built massive audiences for a lot of influencers.
Hmm.
And so I thought, okay, they got a solid track record. And I also verified that they were actually working with these influencers and so forth. And then in the call itself, it was basically a vibe check, so to say. It's We vibed a lot. I thought, okay, they know what they are doing from what they were mentioning, how their process worked. Like they mentioned engagement pods, which at that time I didn't really understand as what it actually is. I thought back then I thought an engagement pod is that their clients in my niche would engage with my content and sort of give it a small organic boost. And what I understand now is that engagement pods are just bot interactions from bots and so forth.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's, I thought what they said made sense. And so, yeah, I think it was 80% research beforehand, and then 20% it was a personality match. We were getting along quite nicely. I saw, okay, it's not some like 21-year-old marketing bro sitting in some dingy shack in Thailand. Nothing wrong with that,
Oh,
but you know,
there's
it's
some.
the issue. The issue is I saw they had a track record. They didn't come up with stuff on the spot. So I thought, okay, they know their stuff, and so yeah, that's why I decided to go with them.
Gotcha. So, but you saw they already had it looked like a proven business model. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I totally understand. So, gotcha. Okay. So they're posting, so they're creating the posts, they're posting, everything's going out. The first few days, how does everything look at first?
Amazing. It was
Okay.
amazing. I was on cloud nine. Like I think the first post had something like 200 likes or something like that, more than I ever imagined what was possible. And I was thinking, holy, they really know what they are doing. Uh, they it's working. And the content itself wasn't even bad. It's something that I would have read myself. Uh, um, but yeah, the honeymoon phase was quickly over. But initially, like the first, I think 4 or 5 posts or something like that, maybe the first week, it was really amazing. I thought, okay, this is working. And so if I've even got uh, an old friend of mine that I studied with that I hadn't talked to in, I think, 17 years or something like that. She reached out and she said, "Oh, you really know what's up with this LinkedIn game, don't you?" And so I was
Mm,
like, "Apparently I do, but it's my agency."
yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like on the outside, it looks really solid. If you suddenly have 200 likes, 400 likes, 700 likes
Yes.
on a few posts, it looks really solid. And especially as someone selling marketing services, that's solid social proof. And
E-
so if people see, okay, that person has 700 likes on a post, wow, he must be doing something right. But then
Exactly.
the issue arises when people look behind that. Like uh, if the people understand a little bit that someone with 300, 400 followers cannot have 700
Yeah.
likes on a post regularly, like if it's a breakout post, that's yeah, that's a lucky thing. But as soon as people understand what's really going on, they quickly realize, okay, uh, there's something fishy. Especially if you look in the comments, there were low quality comments, like stuff that you see on all these big accounts these days, where some bots are commenting, "Oh, great post," and stuff like that. So it
Yes.
wasn't a proper interaction, and you quickly realize that. And uh, at that point, it also was a, not any social proof anymore. It was actually harmful for my brand, and so yeah, that's where the honeymoon phase ended, especially because I questioned a few of the metrics I was seeing in the back end, and I was
Yes.
thinking, how is that possible?
Right. And I remember because you and I spoke right around the time when they were still your agency or maybe no longer your agency. Spoiler alert, they're no longer Tim's agency. And I'm just and what you can't see, Tim, is I've pulled up one of your posts, and at the time you had like maybe 300, between 300 and 400 followers, and
Yeah,
I was seeing like hundreds of likes, and this one right here has 430 likes, 22 comments, and one repost. And to your point, they do look like very generic kinds of comments as well. What's also interesting is that the number of comments compared to the number of likes is also, besides that, is very, very low. So
yeah,
from my experience, and I did like a kind of like a rough estimate before this live stream, how many comments do I get relative to likes? And it's somewhere between 30% to 100% of the number of likes is my number of comments. On rare occasion, I have more. There are more comments than likes, but yours was like 5%, and that includes your own commenting back. So
exactly.
yeah, so there was already some between, but I and from an impression standpoint, like let's say the post that has the one that I'm looking at with 430, about how many impressions were you getting and members reach? Because I know you were digging into those numbers.
Yeah, it's let me quickly
Sure.
have a look. Let's actually look at the first post that they did. They
Yeah.
had, oh no, that's one of the biggest ones. The first post they did, we had 1,200 impressions, roughly 180 reactions, 12 comments, and 697 members reached. That was okay, a little bit inflated, but okay. But then I had this one post, and I think that's where it finally clicked. And I asked them, how is it even possible to have more reactions than I have impressions and members reached? Because
How does that work? Yeah.
this one post had 700 reactions, 13 comments, 420 members reached, so 700 engagements or reactions,
Yeah.
and 420 members reached, and 754 impressions. So I had
Yeah.
more impressions, more reactions than impressions, and I asked them, "How is that even possible?"
How,
That
what did they answer? How did they answer that one?
they answered, "Oh, that's curious. We got to research that." And so they never got back to me
Of course
about that.
not.
And like I only realized that it was, I think, on day 5 or 7 or something like that, working with them. And I never got a response. I've after everything was like, yeah, going not so well. I was looking back at the chat and trying to uh, piece together how all this came to happen. And then I saw, okay, they never got back to me on this because I think they probably knew what was going on. And
Oh
they
yeah.
could have they could have just said, okay, we boosted this post with an engagement part, and that's how this happens. So yeah, but that there was never any coming clean about that or anything like that. So
Right.
that's where I started to realize, okay, something is off. How is that even possible? And it happened more and more on basically every post. I had more reactions than I had members reached, more than impressions, and so that's, I think that's maybe the difference where my professional background makes makes a difference, because I started to question these numbers, because in my profession, when numbers don't make sense, something is wrong. So if either tracking is broken, or our server infrastructure is broken, or anything like that, so something is wrong when the numbers don't match, then something is wrong. And so I was like checking in on them a couple of times on this matter, and I was actually talking to the owner of the agency. So what's going on here? What's the general purpose? And especially because I didn't see, like, from hundreds of engagements, of a lot of comments, and
Yeah.
lots of impressions, I didn't see any conversations happening, like real
Right.
interactions. So that's where I was starting to feel a little bit, something is wrong. And they weren't super expensive, but they weren't cheap either. So they cost me $3,000 per month. And so I was expecting, I, I was aware that organic reach takes time, but since the organic reach just exploded from
Yeah.
working with them, I was thinking, okay, so if that happens, then we need to see some tangible business return on investment.
Right.
And usually, if it was like the first post had 20 engagements, 30 engagements, or something like that, and it's starting to slowly pile up and stuff like that, that's what I was prepared to see. But I would have been super patient with them. Like
Yeah.
I was probably would have stuck with them for 6 months or something like that before I made any changes, if it was a slow process. But since it was so explosive, I was thinking, okay, then we need to have some kind of business interactions. We need to have
Yeah.
some clients checking in. We need to also have some kind of strategy to what happens after our posts go mini viral with this. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I was relying on them to show me some kind of process. What are their other clients doing? What how do they follow up? And so yeah, that was
Mhm.
something that I was expecting, and that didn't happen. So
Right.
yeah, that's where we started to have a little bit more serious conversations about what's going on.
And really, posting is just one of the three main pillars of a LinkedIn overall strategy. You know, you have profile optimization, you have engagement. In other words, what sort of conversations are you having with people? And then obviously the posts and what comes from that. And in the first few days or even the first few weeks, it may be too much to expect a client out of it, but to your point, and I know you know that, but to your point, maybe there have been more people following you, and maybe you can have some direct messaging conversations, or at least spark some conversations. And so, which again points to the fact that these were bots. So so someone from the outside who might not see the discrepancies when you see these like crazy numbers for what seems like a normal kind of post.
Yeah.
I mean, the posts were decent. They looked a little AI-ish, but they weren't horrible. They're not. I could see how you began to question it. Now let's talk about LinkedIn. Okay, and I'm sorry, we are talking about LinkedIn, but what I mean is LinkedIn seeing what's going on. I know we've talked about this outside, but share with our viewers like what happened.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the many drops in the bucket. Like, I think so. We had a two-pronged approach. Like, we had this content approach where we said, okay, we're gonna produce proper content, and then we also have an outreach approach where we build
Okay.
followers, and so sending connection requests and stuff like that. And they had their own tool to automate that. And after, I would say, we had a little bit of delay in between the first posts going live and the outreach campaign starting. I think it was like probably 7 or 10 days or something like that before we started the outreach campaign. And shortly after the outreach campaign started and all these fake metrics were popping up, I tried to log in one day, and I saw a message that kind of made my heart drop, because it said, your account is suspended for X amount of time, like 12 hours, for using automated tools. LinkedIn doesn't tolerate that stuff, and so forth. And I was, yeah, it's not a very good feeling if you see, like, for most of us, LinkedIn is kind of the lifeblood of our business. And if you have no option to reach out to your existing network to make new connections and so forth, seeing your account is suspended for using automated tools,
Yeah.
it's not a good feeling. And so I shared the screenshot with the agency, and they were like, "Oh, that's unusual,"
Yeah.
and yeah, hopefully it's unusual for them. But then it happened again and again and again. Like, in total, I think we have like 12, 15 suspensions on the
What?
account. And I was like, that's, yeah, it's not a good feeling to see your account constantly
Right.
being suspended. And they were like, you allegedly using manual outreach after the tools didn't work. They slowed down the automatic outreach to 10 per day or something like that, and still every day whenever they used the tool, the account was suspended. So that's,
Wow.
yeah, that's where also, like, that's well, like I said, one of the drops in the bucket where it was like, okay, we have unrealistic vanity metrics that make no sense. We have no real conversations happening. The comments are obviously fake, and then the account gets suspended. I feel like I'm the first client with these problems. So what's going on there? And so yeah, that's that that was I think that was the low point, and that's also when I started to reach out to you. I started to reach out to a friend who has like 30, 40 something thousand followers, and I asked them, "Is this normal?" I asked you, "What's your opinion about
Yeah.
all this?" And it's solidified my opinion that something is not right with their approach and how this thing is going. And so, yeah, that's where it kind of escalated. And I said, okay, let's stop working together. And then, yeah, we've tried a lot of things where we said, okay, let's stop the engagement parts. It didn't work. So they're like, why would I pay somebody $3,000 per month if their posts get the same engagements as mine? So unless they use engagement pods and so forth. So
Right.
it was like a real yeah, real lengthy process of getting to a point where it didn't work anymore. So yeah.
I'm actually wondering because obviously you vetted out this company before hiring them. I, here's my theory. LinkedIn goes through phases where it's like, okay, we're gonna kind of buckle down. I don't know if I'm using the correct idiomatic expression here, but basically buckle down and try to get rid of some of this nonsense. And it could be that just before you hired the agency, more people were getting away with it, and then LinkedIn buckled down, and you happened to be part of it. Because I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering, what about those other clients? I can't imagine that. So I just find that I wonder if they were running into issues and they started, doing their own stuff as well. But I mean, that number of suspensions is a ridiculous number. And to your point, why spend $3,000 a month if there's not even an inkling of a possibility of talking with someone? Like that's the
Totally.
main thing. So, okay, so you fired the agency, now you're doing posts on your own. And like, do you have any, I mean, you seem like an emotionally strong person, but did you have any fears or anything like that going into this?
A lot of fears, obviously. Like um, uh, this thing with getting my account suspended, and so really kept me up at night. And it's not even like just a metaphor. It really kept me up at night. When I made the decision to fire the agency, the final decision, I think it was just a few days after we talked, and
Yeah.
I was up until 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. I
Oh,
was going to bed and I was thinking, man, I'm paying these people $3,000 a month. My account gets suspended all the time. We have fake vanity metrics. I'm just done with it. I'm so tired of this. It's it's not worth the money, and I'm just done. So I fired them, and I still had some time left on the contract, and so they still produced content. I posted the content myself, but it was also weak. And then uh, I had another sleepless night, and I was tossing and turning, and I was thinking, man, I'm gonna write a post about this. And this, like, what do you always do as a LinkedIn content creator? You use everything that happens to you to create content. So
yes.
if a stone falls on your toe, you say, what a stone that fell on my toe taught me about my LinkedIn game or whatever,
Me
like
too.
so.
I've done so. Yes. And let me interrupt. I'm going to actually pull up this. I'm going to pull up this post so we can see it. Yeah. So there's an image. It says "You're fired," and I loved this post. And I'm actually scrolling up to so people can see. You know, you basically share the whole story, which was really really awesome. I should have actually started from the okay. So you know, and you go through the whole story and everything like that. And for me, it was the transparency that you had with all of this because how many people would actually go on LinkedIn and say, you know, a lot of the posts that I had beforehand had fake likes, fake engagement. And, you know, I didn't know that going in, but guys, I just want to let you know that's how it was. But you know, I'm just going to do it now. And so that is what I found like the most striking and refreshing about your post. The "You're fired" image is really great. What I absolutely love is I'm going to just share the results from this. There were 764 likes, 421 comments from real people, and 6 reposts. So guess what? You just go, you know, completely authentically. Not every single post will be like that. You know, LinkedIn is not actually built for virality, but this
Yeah,
one in LinkedIn terms went viral because you were so transparent and just so human and yourself, allowing things just to happen the way they were supposed to happen.
exactly. So maybe that's the secret: writing posts in the middle of the night when you cannot sleep. Maybe that's the material for viral posts. But I can actually share some other metrics behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
please do.
Apart from the 764 reactions and 422 or 21 comments, I've had 45,000 impressions, 33,000 and something members reached,
Hmm.
566 profile viewers from this post, 170 followers gained from this post. And I can tell you, it's been more. It's not only been like these 170 that were reported, but like in the matter of I think 3 or 4 days, it's been uh, 300, 400 new followers. And
Yeah.
if you remember, I was coming, when I wrote the post, it was something like roughly 500 followers or something like that I had. And the funny thing is, like, I didn't care about all these vanity metrics anymore, and that's also what I
Yeah.
wrote in my post. I don't care if it's gonna be 2 likes, if it's gonna be 0 likes, and that was my genuine opinion back then, because I just wanted to talk to my existing network. I wanted to reconnect to them because I had totally lost every impressions I had with them,
Yeah.
and so it was uh, that was my authentic rawness that was present in the post. But the funny thing is, like, this where I didn't even care about the vanity metrics anymore. The vanity metrics exploded. Like, I'm currently at something like 1,000 followers after not gaining a lot with the old agency.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's been the most surprising thing. And especially, like, when I posted it, I was afraid. Like you
Oh.
said, you said I'm emotionally stable. Most of the
Well, I
time
don't
I
know. You
am.
seem to be, from what I know.
Most of the time I am. But, like, pressing publish on a post that's so emotional, so authentic, where you show uh, a glimpse behind the mask, like,
Mhm.
we all have this mask on LinkedIn. We're all the best, we make no mistakes, and stuff like that. But if you post something like that, and especially coming from myself as a professional marketer, then uh, I was afraid. I didn't want to publish this. But usually one of my mantras in life is, whenever what and I stole this from Tim Ferriss. What you fear most doing is what you most need to do. And so, whenever I feel, okay, there's some fear in here, and I'm uneasy with pressing publish on a post, and I don't really care about the results, but I'm
Yeah.
still afraid, then this is the thing I need to do. And so I pressed publish, and it got a few impressions, and a few people reacted to it, and I was like, okay, that's more than 3 likes. That's all right. Thank you very, very
So
much. That's good. And
just kept going.
I've got some WhatsApp messages. I like your post and stuff like that. So I was okay. This is
Yeah.
good. I finally get to reconnect with my old network, and the impressions and the likes kept rising. The comments like increased
Yeah.
every hours, and so I went to bed. Like I published this at 4 p.m. I think, or something like that, 3
Hmm.
p.m. When I went to bed, it had 1,000 impressions. I was like, "Holy moly! This is
Yeah.
more than
Yes.
I've had with the agency on most of the recent posts. That's
Hmm.
good. That's good. Thank you." So I was fully expecting to see the usual drop off. Like you have a spike and then it
Yeah.
drops
Yeah.
off.
But this one kept on.
Next, yeah, I get up in the morning. It's 5,000 impressions. Like a couple 50, 60, 70 likes or something like that. I'm like, holy, okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I go to the boulder gym. I meet with the buddy. I talk about this. Like, this is insane. You got to see this. I pull up the stats: 9,000 impressions, hundreds of likes, and I'm like, holy. What's going on here? It's just a few hours later, and so
Yeah.
it kept snowballing and snowballing. And at the end of the day, it was 20,000. Then the next day, it was 30,000. Lots of
Yeah.
followers, lots of genuinely great interactions with
Yeah.
like people in the comments saying, "Oh, this is so nice. Wow, this is the real rawness that we desire to see on LinkedIn." And so, like, it was
Exactly.
uh, it's been really insane. Like the day after publishing the post, I didn't do anything but answer comments. I answered comments
Yeah.
for I think 6 hours straight. I was
That's like
stunned
every
after the
LinkedIn
day.
user's dream.
Yeah, it was a dream. I'm not even like it's been nice to have that experience,
Yeah.
to say the least. I knew,
Awesome.
okay, that this is a fleeting moment, obviously, like I didn't get my head in the clouds and think, okay, I'm gonna be this great LinkedIn influencer, and like I'm gonna go viral with every post. I knew, okay, this is a one-time
And
thing.
yeah,
Cherish it. It's amazing.
exactly.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happened.
And we actually have a couple comments. One of them, I'm going to pronounce your name wrong. Faisal Muhandis. He says, "I remember this post. It was actually a really interesting read." So
Thank you.
so yeah, you made an impression there. And then Mark Kilby says, "Sounds like you got far more real traffic from your honest raw." Your fired post. So, and also it
Definitely.
sounds
Yeah.
like, besides the fact that you got great results from, the actually better results from just being yourself. What's also happened is you've already sparked more conversations, the conversations that you wanted to have from the beginning. And it didn't cost you $3,000 a month. Now, it did cost you some time, 6 hours, responding to comments. But that those are good conversations. And again, that doesn't typically happen with every single post, especially when it's purely organic and you're not paying for anything. So,
True.
what would be your advice to someone who doesn't, they're scared to write their own posts, and maybe they could make the time for it possibly, but they're scared to do it. What would be your advice going in with everything that you experienced?
Um, it's an interesting question because after all this experience, I'm not even against ghostwriters. It's I think they do have their place, and it's more about
Yeah.
I think I would ask for more examples of their work, actual examples. Maybe even ask them to write 3 or 4 posts or something like that, or even 1 or 2. It would be just to see the quality. If if it smells like AI, it usually is, and so that would explain how they produce their content. And you can, yeah, the issue isn't even using AI, but it's if you just say, okay, here's a topic for a post, write me a post, dear ChatGPT, then you can see that, and that's how I would better vet these companies. And I would also look at more recent results, because I think it worked for them in the past, how they did the business, and obviously they have a lot of testimonials where it worked. And like you said, LinkedIn has these waves. Like in the recent weeks, it seems like impressions have died off, and for a lot of creators, and where before, as far as I understand, in the last couple of months, it's been the what LinkedIn advised creators to do is
Yeah.
create video content, rely heavily on video content, but apparently it's dropped. And so, like, we have these waves, and
Oh yeah.
we, and so I think what they did before worked before, but it's not working anymore. And so it's more like uh, try to find out if you go the ghostwriter route, which is I think perfectly fine. And I can now tell who's using a ghostwriter and who's not using a ghostwriter, because you recognize certain patterns from certain ghostwriters. And so
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I've learned a lot of the shady secrets as well, where creators sell out their engagement. So I know this one huge creator asked for $500 per month for him to engage with your posts just on occasionally. So that's like you. Whenever you see that, or you get a different view, and that's what I meant. I saw behind the curtain,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's better to not look behind the curtain, because
Yeah.
then you suddenly realize what's going on. But
I feel like I just lost some of
um,
my innocence with this live stream. I just want to let you know. It's
I'm
pretty
sorry.
sad.
I'm sorry, Brooke.
It's okay. And by the way, we have another comment, and actually, this is from my husband, Stephen, because that's so it
Hey,
says,
Stephen.
yeah, so it says, drama sells, real life drama really sells, makes us more human. So, but to your point, yeah, there's nothing wrong with using a ghostwriter. I mean, I will say that it's really best if they can capture your voice. And that is
Yeah,
hard. That is very, very hard to do. I mean, I've been hired to ghostwrite a lot of times, and it's and sometimes I feel like I can get someone's voice, and sometimes like I get their motives, I can get in their brain, but their voice, it's a very, very, very difficult thing to do. So
yeah,
but if it can be done, that's okay. And as long as, and also to my husband Steven's point here, and some other commenters, if they're sharing your stories and your experience, then they're basically just kind of finessing that communication. And then also there is time involved in scheduling it out. What image are we going to use? Let's go ahead and optimize that image. So there's definitely the administrative part to that. And I mean, it's funny because the clients that I serve, I serve clients who want to just take full control of their social media, but they don't know how to do it in a time efficient way. So, I help them from that respect. But, either way can work. The main thing is, as long as you're showing up as yourself, even if you get help from a little help from ChatGPT to help brainstorm or structure, or you get help from a ghostwriter, again, to share your experiences and your stories and your thought leadership and all that. As long as you're showing up as yourself as much as humanly possible, that's the part that makes the difference. So,
yeah.
is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, I think I didn't ask. I didn't answer your last question properly, because you asked what I would suggest people do
Okay.
that want to create content. And so, on the one hand, okay, there's obviously ghostwriters. That's perfectly fine. I just wanted to state that. But uh, uh, you said they uh, they need to capture your own voice, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the hardest part for yourself, even, What's your voice? And that's the thing that I'm struggling with still. Like I've posted pretty much 5 times a day, 5 times a week, for 6 7 weeks or something like that, and I still,
That's a lot.
yeah, and I still struggle finding my own voice. Like, what's, uh, where are you authentic? Where are you playing the algorithm game? Where are you playing, like, it's still tempting to say this post didn't get hundreds of likes or
Yeah.
even 10 likes or something like that. It wasn't good, but that's usually not the conclusion that you need to derive from seeing these metrics. Sometimes it just bombs for unknown reasons. You posted it at the wrong time.
Yeah.
People were out enjoying their weekend or something like that, and maybe the visual wasn't fitting to the text and so forth. So there's so many working parts that, yeah, need to be properly aligned to make a good post, and that's something that you only understand through repetitions, and that's how you find your own voice. And that's actually the only advice that I would give most people. Just post. As stupid as it sounds, it's just, you need to get repetitions. You need to understand what's a good post.
Yeah.
Do not look at big influencers, because they
You
can
don't
post
know.
everything. They could post a picture of a kitten and say, "Buy my stuff," and people would buy their stuff. And so I think that that's a realization I've had. It's not looking at Alex Hormozy. It's not looking at Tim Ferriss, Simon Sinek, whoever you follow, these big, massive influencers. It's, look at those outlier posts where somebody posts something and it suddenly goes off, and then try to understand what's working for them. How did they build their audience in the last
Yes.
12 months? Do not look at people that built their audiences in the last 5 years or something like that. It's, look at people that are coming up, and what's working for them. Do not look at all this viral stuff where, like, comment fire to get my 50-page playbook
Yeah.
for AI optimization. That's inflated metrics that may be working right now, and some of them are actually using engagement pods, because I obviously now recognize those people that engage with my old content. I can see them on other content now, but
Interesting.
that's the thing that I would suggest. Start publishing your own stuff. It doesn't even have to be 5 times a week. It's enough
Yeah.
if you do it like once, 2 or 3 times a week or something like that. Whatever you are comfortable with, without burning out. And I think that's that's also one of the things I always tell all of my clients: focus on one channel and don't try to optimize every channel. Don't go to Facebook,
Right.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever, and always focus on just one
Yeah.
channel. And that's how I would approach LinkedIn all of the time. Do not burn out. Try to have a reasonable publishing schedule, and don't look at what other
Right.
people are doing. Just post your own
Yeah.
stuff, but don't post like, "Oh, it's been nice to have been at this conference." Nobody cares about that.
Right.
Always try to add value to people's lives, and that's what I would
Yeah.
suggest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can go on and on about that one
Yeah.
conference example, because there are ways to do it. But I will say, I mean, as long as you are showing up consistently, but again, to your point of not burning out, and again, don't really worry about what other people are doing. Now, if you see that someone has a fantastic post, like, you're like, this is a really good post, and here's why I really like it, and here's why I connect with it, and I'm not surprised that it's getting so many reactions, that's one thing. But it's like, here's something that's super bland. Why is it getting this? What, it's okay to question that. And again, that helps give some perspective. I will tell you, on my end, because I was about to say I have a YouTube channel, but everyone watching is on my YouTube channel right now. Okay, but there is a I guess I'll call this person a competitor because we don't really know each other. But this person has had always had fewer followers than I did, like, always below. And I didn't consider their content particularly engaging. It was informative. It was nice, but not particularly engaging. And then literally within 5 months, the person went from about 5,000 to more than 100,000 subscribers. And I was looking
Highly
at and they were
unlikely.
getting more views than subscribers. Like, it was crazy. And the content never changed. The content was exactly the same. And I was heartbroken. I will tell you, I was completely heartbroken. I was like, this isn't fair. I'm working so hard. I'm scripting everything. I'm trying to make everything really good for my audience. I'm like, all the time, and everything editing, and here's someone, it looks like they just bought it. And so that same thing can happen on LinkedIn, and it can be frustrating, but you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that what people see is the truth. And you'll know that you're showing up as yourself and not someone else. And you'll be the one who's making the real connections. And someone may look successful, but they might not really be. So I, that's been kind of my experience on that end and that kind of analogy. But I just want to thank you so much. And I do want to just do a quick screen share here. So if people ever want to, just a second. Check out 25K Media. That is Tim's. That's Tim's company. But also, let's actually just go. If you want to check out his profile right here, you can check out Tim Janssen right here as well. And he's a very awesome person to get to know. And so. Let me go back to you here. I'm still not good after all this time of switching back and forth between screens. Okay, we're back to seeing each other now. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you so much for being so transparent on LinkedIn and also on this live stream. And I hope that people watching connect with you and have some conversations with you.
Yeah, and I hope people watching are hiring you, because that's the thing I should have done in the beginning, and that's the only thing I really regret.
Yeah.
Like it's not a scripted.
No, this isn't scripted. Seriously.
Plug. It's from myself, because Brooke and I, we've known each other for we thought about
4 years,
like 4.5 years or something like that.
About that,
since early 21 or something like that.
Yep.
I think, and when I had the problem with, like, how can I improve in my LinkedIn game? How can I use this channel? I never thought about you. I have no idea why. I'm sorry. I should have thought about
It's
you.
okay.
And so
this was funny.
And when you are at the beginning stages of your LinkedIn journey and you think, okay, how can I improve my LinkedIn game? Ask Brooke. She knows what's up, and she's got some pretty awesome courses and programs. Is the better word. So hire Brooke. That's my suggestion.
So, all right, I guess that's the moral of the story now. But seriously, I'm glad. I think we all learned a lot from your experience. I really appreciate it, and I hope you and everyone else has an awesome day. So,
yeah. Likewise.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Right.
Take care.
Thank you, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.